Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of Thompsin and Other Disappointments. My guest today is a stand-up comedian who I started out with when I first started doing comedy. He's also one of the angriest, most vitriolic, ranty little dudes that you're ever likely to meet. He's got 4 shows out on Bandcamp. They're called We Are All Cunts, We Are All Still Cunts, We All Die Cunts, and Fuck You and Fuck Your Beliefs. He's working on a play at the moment, which will no doubt be finished at some point this year. And today I had a little chat with him about where he came from, where he started out from, what he's up to now, and his frustrations with society in general. I hope you enjoy listening to him as much as I enjoyed talking to him and catching up with him. Please welcome Ashley Haden. Mr. Ashley Haden. Welcome, Ashley.
Hello. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. I'm in my cabin. I don't know if you can hear it on the mic, but there's a lot of rain, like pitter pattering on my head. Not literally,
Yes.
but
Yes. It's raining over London, I think.
yeah, but I'm all right. I'm okay. How are you doing? It's been ages since we've spoken.
Yes. Surviving.
Constantly,
always. It's hell.
Should we give people a bit of like background to who you are and like how we know each other?
Okay.
So I'll start if you like, and then I'll hand over to you.
Yep, that's fine.
So as I recall, you and I sort of entered the London open mic realm community around the same sort of time. There was a gig that used to be done at a pub in Liverpool Street called Dirty Dick's. And then we do that every Tuesday night. And
Dead Comedian Socks.
Dead Comedian Socks, yeah, correct. And I thought you were quite an interesting act to watch and to see develop, because you were quite sort of dark humoured, and I was, although I think I was probably outwardly more jovial, I was also quite sort of dark humoured, angry and ranty. So yeah, I don't know. We had a few beers and we got to know each other, and then further along the line, I became a father, and my dreams were crushed.
Yes.
And you carried on going, and like from the looks of things, I did a modest / pathetic amount of research before started.
That's nice of you.
Yeah, well, I try. And I saw, so you've got 4 shows on Bandcamp now.
I got 4 shows on Bandcamp. 2 of those shows are also on Next Up.
Cool.
As videos for the recordings of those shows. The Bandcamp ones are just audio.
Okay.
And those shows can also be found on Amazon Prime as well.
Okay. And you've been, fuck me, Amazon Prime. Check you out.
That's only because the deal that Next Up have with Amazon Prime. So it's not as though Amazon said, "Oh, we love you.
Yeah.
Let's have your stuff on." It was very much part and parcel of the deal Next Up done. But it's a nice thing to say.
Yeah, yeah. Something nice to put on
Especially
your bottom of your Edinburgh poster next time.
Well, it's helps when people like to say that it's a hobby, and it's not a hobby. It's an unsuccessful career. That's the big difference. I don't do stand up as a hobby. I'm just not successful at it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, define success. Like, this was one of the things I was going to ask you, perhaps a bit further in. But actually, we'll get onto the definition of what success looks like for a comedian like yourself. Maybe once we kind of joined the dots a little bit about like who you are and where you've come from. So, I've kind of covered like where I met you, but where were you before? Like, what led you to doing open mic comedy in Liverpool Street on a Tuesday night?
It's as simple as, and I know everyone has think I just wanted to do it, so I did. I've always loved comedy. It's especially when I saw the likes of Bill Hicks and Billy Connolly, people like this, even Carlin and these comedians, and realizing that you can say something and laugh. And I wanted to do it, so I think it must have been probably 10 years next year. So when I was 23, I typed into Google something like open mic comedy, the first thing that came up was Lion's Den.
Yeah.
Used to be run by a bloke called Tim Rendell, who was a lovely, lovely fella. Unfortunately, died a couple of years ago. But I mean, the Lion's Den was such a mad gig. It's in if it ever comes back, it's in Shaftesbury Avenue at Bar Rumba, and it would have 20 plus comedians all doing 5 minutes. The night would go on for like 4 hours, last person, and it would all be picked out of the hat as well, so it was all fucking random.
Yeah.
And so you may end up getting on like fucking 11:30, and you're the final act, and there's no fucking audience. Most of the comedians have left as well, because no one wants to be in this, what I could only describe as like a rapist paradise of a place.
Yeah.
At 11:30 at night, trying to get home.
Yeah.
But that's how I got into it. My first gig, I died. And then my second gig, I realised I actually did okay in the first one, and I died on me hole properly on the second one.
Wow.
And then I just kept on doing it.
Yeah, there's a certain sort of romance, isn't there, to like, so when you first start out and you die on your fucking arse, it's almost like you feel like, well, I've done that now. I know if I can die on my arse and then still come back like the worst that's going to happen is that happens again, and I've already done that. So
yeah, I mean, dying early is certainly a plus to like doing 50 gigs and you're doing really well and you think you're fucking nailing it, and then you die.
Yeah.
Because at that point you're there. It's a much bigger fall. Whereas if you die straight away, then you're there going, well, only way is up.
Right.
And I mean, hell, I die often since, especially when I'm testing out new material that's takes work to get right, and the right pacing on, especially the style, as you mentioned. I'm dark, and I do a lot of material on subjects that people don't necessarily want to hear about, and so dealing with that, especially when you're testing out at an open mic, a new material night where no one's come to see you. They want comedy. They haven't come to see you, so they haven't come to see me stand on stage and go, well, I'll tell you why you're all a bunch of cunts.
Yeah.
They're not there for that. And so you have to, so they're not going to like it, and they don't often. And so it's all about working out how that works for like an hour show where people have come to see me and actually do want to hear why they're all cunts.
You ever worry that like when you're doing, say a new material night or an open mic night, and you're going up against that sort of like, because a lot of new material nights are going to be on like a Monday or a Tuesday night, for commercial reasons for the pub, but when you're up against that sort of audience of people who have not come to see you and you want to try your new bit and it fails, but then some other bits work and you think, okay, well, awesome, like I'll bank those because they obviously work, whatever. But then do you ever, when you go to your actual show, you're doing like a 45-minute show somewhere and they have come to see you, do you ever sort of spool back and think like, I wonder if that bit would have worked because these people are coming to see me, so they'd get me. So do you see what I'm saying? Like there's a slight difference in the audience. So have you just thrown away some shit unnecessarily?
I don't care about an audience reaction whilst I'm working out material. It's not about at that point, and it's just how I work for. Like, so I'm going to be doing 10 years next year, and I have found that what matters is how it sounds when I'm testing it. I know where the improvements need to come, and it's not necessarily down to an audience reaction, because what I'm working on, my style is I like to have an audience awkward.
Yeah.
I want them uncomfortable. Having an audience uncomfortable while I'm throughout like an hour
Yeah.
is for me the absolute epitome of what I'm doing, because I don't want anyone there. I don't want audiences applauding. I hate that. I hate an audience.
So in some
I
ways
absolutely
you're
despise
like an
it.
anti-comedian, because most of us would be pathetically chasing laughs, claps, cheers, and really what you're like, an applause for you would be 8 rows of buttocks clenching, correct?
Well, I want them to laugh,
Right.
but I only want two things from an audience. I want laughter or silence.
Mm.
Anything else, and you just say it's especially applause. And I'm not going. I'm not going to go into it because it's a bit I've written for stage when they do applaud.
Mm.
So I don't want to go over material on here and not be able to use it on
Right,
stage.
right.
But basically, I don't require anyone's approval or applause. Is just, oh, I agree with you. I don't want them fucking agreeing with me. I know I'm right. I don't need them to fucking tell me. You know, it's people applaud as that's a very good thing. They're going like, that's not the point I'm saying here. I don't want everyone to be fucking agreeing with me and patting me on the back. I'm telling you there's a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm telling you there's a problem, you go, oh yeah, you're quite right, and then fucking move on. What's the fucking point?
Mm.
It's actually about doing something. It's not enough to just fucking go, oh yeah, you're right, everyone is dying. Oh, it is terrible. Ah, them's the breaks. It's not enough.
Yeah, yeah. There's a Doug Stanhope bit I heard a few years ago where he says, like, all of his friends saying like, yeah, yeah, Doug, you're right. Most of the world's problems do come from overpopulation and blah blah blah. And anyway, I'm still gonna go and have a kid because, and I suppose there is,
That
there's layers to that in the sense that you spend your time as a sort of comedian slash rant artist, trying to get people to understand and make a change. Uh, and what they basically take away from it is, as you say, like a sort of a cheer, a clap, some laughter, hopefully, and then the world carries on turning, right?
well, like it's. I mean, my stuff is funny. It's thing. I mean, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
I am going for laughter.
Mm.
It's not like I walk and say, "Oh no, don't you dare laugh at this." I'm not doing a fucking TED talk. It is a comedy show.
Yeah.
Um, but that bit you're talking about is one of my favorite endings to a show.
Yeah.
It was Doug Stanhope a few years ago. It was the one where he was wearing like the pilot's jacket.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a fantastic ending of just saying, "Well, I already solved that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why we're still talking about it. I solved that in like my third show."
Yeah.
He says that it's like everyone's hungry, and I've spent years pointing out the food.
Yeah.
But one of the points that I disagree with, and it's a comedy trope that I want to look at to disband, is this idea of overpopulation.
Mm.
Um, Bill Burr's done a bit on it. Stanhope did a bit. I think fucking Bill Hicks. All these greats do a bit on. Oh, there's too many people, and that is frankly not the case.
Yeah.
It's greed is the problem. We have enough space, we have enough food. The only reason that overpopulation is a problem is because people are cunts and they should all be wiped out. That I 100% agree with.
Yeah.
People are awful, let's wipe out humanity. Yes. But the reason that the world is in such a shit state isn't because there's too many people, it's because they're awful people.
Yeah.
That's it. And so this I know it's a comedy trope, but people do believe that overpopulation is a problem, and it simply isn't. It's greed. Greed is the problem.
I like the idea that like there would be you and Doug Stanhope sat around a pub table, and then somebody would come in and go like, there's too many people, and Stanhope's take on it would be like, yeah, you should just bring the number down a bit. But you would interpret that as like, there's too many people. That's really what you're disagreeing about, is the number. That he would say there's like, let's make fewer,
No, the reasoning.
and you'd take it down to wipe everyone out.
Well, it's the reasoning for it.
Mm,
I think wipe everyone out because everyone's awful and we don't deserve anything good. I do not believe in a meritocracy
mm,
as an individual. I do believe in meritocracy as an entire planet. Like, this is what we fucking deserve.
mm.
An entire year of a global pandemic, greed, starvation, fucking sex trafficking, racism, homophobia. That's what we deserve as a world.
Mm.
Authoritarians, genocide, ethnic cleansing. This is what we deserve because this is what we've worked to. As an individual basis, as a person, Jeff Bezos doesn't deserve the money that he's got. People in poverty do not deserve to be in poverty. But as an entire world, we do deserve to be wiped off the face of it.
I really thought that before we started this chat today, I thought, I wonder if Ashley's like chilled with age, you know? Like, I want.
No, I've become more eloquent in my ranting,
Yeah.
and I'm not as drunk as I used to
I
be.
was going to get onto that later, but we can let's spool back a little bit. So
Sure.
we touched on you getting into comedy and that it was, you know, you'd always
Yeah.
looked up to some of the greats, and it was something you wanted to try. And then around the time that I became a dad and I sort of took a step back, that feels mentally to me as though that was the time when you kind of started to really find your feet. Almost like I was holding you back, but it feels like in terms of the timeline in my brain, it feels like you then went off and did Brighton Fringe. I think you did. Have you done one Edinburgh or two or three?
Uh, I've done 4
Have
Edinburghs
you?
now.
Fuck me.
Uh, yeah, I was meant to come up this year as well for the 5th, but that will have to go to next year.
Right, right.
What with the Brighton Fringe was very important in my development because I did a double header with Zach Split,
Mm,
and so we both did 25-minute, half hour each, and that was really the first time that I had the idea that the style that I was going for and the subject matter and everything else, it works for a longer period.
mm.
Can't get an audience on side in 5 minutes when I'm doing jokes about the fucking bombing of Idlib.
Mm. Yeah.
So lengthening it out. And then when I did the Brighton Fringe in 2015, 2016 is the first time I went up to Edinburgh with the Hours show, which was We're All Cunts,
Yeah.
which is the start of the cunting trilogy.
And yeah, this has become your sort of trademark, I guess. Like, so 3 out of 4 of your shows on Bandcamp have it's We Are All Cunts, We Are Still All Cunts, and
Yeah. And then We All Die
yeah,
Cunts.
that's right. And then what's the most recent one?
But that was the most recent one was Fuck You and Fuck Your Beliefs.
Yeah. And like, what's the reception like to these? Are you sort of, because I remember when you and I used to beer outside Dirty Dicks, and I used to say to you and Gretton, um, I used to say, you know, like there's acts that I could see on the bill tonight where I already know that they're going to get a job with the BBC presenting children's television or, um, uh, you know, getting onto Live at the Apollo, or like they're just very
Yeah.
accessible, beautiful entertainers, and that's great. That's what they're there for, and it will happen very quickly for them. And I remember saying to
Yes.
you, like, but the cool thing about what you're doing is that it's like it's gonna take longer. It's gonna be like the difference. I think this is the actual analogy that I reeled off before, but I was like, it's like the difference between like a number one hit by a shitty pop act versus like a Pink Floyd. Like, it's going to be a long, slow process, but you're going to get a following, and then the payoff at the end of it will be that you've got the credibility and you've got, you know, the solid fan base, and everyone's always going to come out to see you. And I just wondered, like, are you sort of, because it feels like from afar like that's actually kind of what you're on the road to now, or is that
I
totally?
mean, hopefully. I I'll I can't even like fame's never been a big issue for me, and neither has money. I do comedy because I want to. It's everything
Mm,
to me. It's uh, the entire fucking reason for being.
mm.
That's why I do it. I have stuff to say, and it's the way that, and this is the way I get out. It's uh, and like the Edinburgh's every Edinburgh I've gotten more
Mm.
audience.
Do
Um,
you get people coming back sort of
and
again and again? They're like, I remember you
yeah,
from last time. Like,
yeah, I have done. I have had a repeat audience, which is always
that is
nice.
nice.
Uh, but like the reason that I name my shows what I name them isn't because R isn't swearing funny. It's a very useful way of making sure the people who certainly are not going to enjoy the show don't turn up.
Right. So it's like a sort of just a disclaimer, really. Like if he's going to call his show
Yeah,
that, that's not for me. So see you later.
exactly. If you can't get over the title of the
Mm,
show, there's not a chance in hell you're going to enjoy the
mm.
show. And instead of dealing, I mean, I still get walkouts,
Yeah.
even even with the show titles. I still get walkouts. People going, "Well, this is too much for me," and you know, say, "Well, that's fine. It's fine to be offended." People, especially in this day and age, seem to act like being offended is akin to sniffing women on the tube. Like you just shouldn't do
Yeah.
it. It's you can be offended. It's fine to be offended. You just have to realize that your opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's the difference, isn't it? And I think Twitter has a lot to answer for in that sense because it's like I've mentioned this example to a few people, but um I firmly believe that if you went back like 15, 20, 25 years and then you said to me, "Hey, I've got this wicked idea like that like maybe the earth is flat or like maybe fucking Avril Lavigne was killed and they've been using a double like to parade around on a tour like some sort of far-fetched nonsense." If you came out with that to me in the pub, I would say that is the most ridiculous fucking nonsense I've ever heard, Ashley. Get to fuck.
Yes.
Rightly so. And that would kind of probably be the end of it. Like maybe somebody else would be around the pool table with us and they'd be like, "Yeah, honestly, Ashley, pack it in." Like that. And then that there would be like credit control, quality control to it, like where you would then reflect. You'd be like, "Oh fuck, maybe that was silly." But now what happens is, one person comes out with an idea, they put it on Twitter, fucking 100 people favorite it, and then they're like, "Fuck, I'm onto something here. Like I must have a
Yeah.
point." And obviously,
Well, the
say again, sorry.
the issue with a lot of the conspiracies is that it relies on people being vastly more competent than they actually are.
Mm,
That's the problem with most conspiracies, and the fact that there's no such thing as a secret.
right.
You can't. People don't keep
Mm,
secrets. People don't. That's why people know other people's secrets, because even your own secret, you'll fucking tell. Oh, now I haven't told anyone this before, but keep it a secret. Chris Betts does a wonderful line on it, saying, "I'm not going to keep your secret if you can't keep your own
yeah.
secret." It's absolutely fucking on the nose for it. And so you're telling me that for all of these conspiracies, you've got all of these people keeping secrets and not one person's fucking said it? Bollocks, mate.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? It's like the other angle to it that I always think of is like, how come it's always the people that can't sort their fucking life out that think that they figured out the fucking majesty of like
Yeah.
biochemical engineering or something. Like the vaccine is the most recent example of this. They announce a vaccine, it's a feat as far as I'm concerned, and I'm no fucking scientist, but as far as I'm concerned and can see from sources I trust, not just some fucking weird guy's blog, it appears to be a feat of excellence, like on
Yes, it's the best of
Yeah.
humanity.
But then there'll always be like 8 to 10 people on my Facebook feed who are just like nipping at the heels of it, going like, well, I don't try 10 months for a vaccine. Oh, I don't know about that. As though I'm like, why don't you start small, mate? Why don't you start small, pay your water bill, get a job, and like just baby steps, and then work your way up to the biochemical engineering, perhaps.
I was talking about this just yesterday, and what people seem to miss is what can be achieved if you have almost unlimited money.
Right? Yeah.
If you've got unlimited, there's a reason why all of these charities like cancer research and everything are raising money all of the time, because it costs a lot of money to do this
Mm.
research. And so when you get unlimited money and you've got everyone going full fucking hardcore at trying to get a vaccine for it, it can be a lot
Yeah.
quicker.
I said something very similar, actually. I don't want to sound like, I was the like, I was saying this before it was cool to say this, but like literally at the beginning of the pandemic, I was chatting to somebody and saying, I know that they say it could take 5 to 10 years for a vaccine for this, because that's what honestly people were saying. They were like, we don't know how long this is going to be around for.
Yes.
And I was like, I know they're saying that, but I just feel like with all of these countries, with like China, the US, the EU, the UK, all of these countries throwing money at this thing, I just feel like they'll wheel something out the bag in like a year, 18 months or so. And obviously that they did it even better than that. But you're right. It sort of, harks back to what you're talking about. If you just throw money and resources at something, it's amazing how quickly you could solve whatever problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it continues to show that in this world, money isn't the problem. It's people. Like, money isn't evil. Money can do good
Mm.
things.
Do you
Uh,
think it
but
shows like billionaires like Bezos up for being perhaps more evil than we even thought before? Because like if I look at a pandemic, and like Bezos has got how much? 100 billion? It's got to be around that.
I know, yeah, I think he's because he's made the most amount of money during this
Yeah.
pandemic, and
So it's almost like he's
it's
uniquely positioned. Firstly, he's super rich anyway, but secondly, he's benefiting from this period that we're in. So I would imagine that somebody in his position should be thinking like, okay, look, this is a shitty situation. I could actually make myself look really good here. I could just take 10 billion or 20 billion and I'll forever be known as the guy that fixed COVID. So I'll just do, but what kind
well,
of
I
person
would
then
say
says, no,
that
I'm not going to do that?
instead of that, I would say if he just paid his fucking
Mm.
tax, then we would have that 10, 20 billion anyway, and he could be known as the cunt who paid his tax,
Yeah, but then it's always this way with,
which is all I'm
yeah,
asking.
it's always this way with very, very rich people though, is that they don't want to pay their tax because then there's no like adulation involved. Then there's no like, oh, he's so good. He went to this charity event and cut a ribbon, and like if you just pay your tax, it's like, oh, I have to pay my tax.
Charity is wrong, though. Charity is wrong. There is no good charity
Mm.
because all charity is saying society has
Is
failed.
this what you tell chuggers on the street?
I have done. Unfortunately, I seem to have quite a kind face, so they come up to me a lot and ask if I've got time,
Yeah,
and I say no. And then if they continue, then I'll make sure that they regret
yeah,
asking. It's not the chuggers' fucking fault. They're just doing a job and they think they're doing something nice, where all they're doing is continuing the fact that society, government, and everything else don't need to do anything,
mm.
because every time that they let something fail, humanity will try to come and fill in that little gap. But they're doing it on a house of cards. This is it. All charity is plugging a hole.
Mm.
Not even plugging a hole. It's just fucking taking out got a spoon and trying to get the water out of a boat. That's all it's doing.
Yeah.
We're not even sorting out the fucking hole. That's one of the major problems. If the government came and filled up the hole, then we wouldn't need the charity with their little fucking teaspoon trying to make sure that we don't all sink.
What happens though then if, let's say, tomorrow the government suddenly say, do you know what, we've been acting like cunts. Let's sort this out. It doesn't make any sense to do it the way that we're doing it. So from now on, we're going to tax companies efficiently and billionaires, and we will fund cancer research, and we will pay for hospice, like private hospices, and all of that. Like they suddenly act right. Then
If that happens tomorrow, then I will type, well, I will fucking get, well, bugger me, tattooed on the side of my car.
I was going to say, if they suddenly turned a corner like that, what then happens to all of the charity sector? Do they just envelope and mass redundancies?
Yeah, but then they won't at all, because they'll get jobs with the government on all of the projects that they're actually fucking funding.
Right, I see. They like 2p across. I see.
Yeah, because you need people who know what they're doing, running these things. You can't just. Even the Tories do not have enough friends for all of those jobs.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm not doubting that at the top they'll find all their fucking friends. And on that, I would like to point out the fucking worst thing about all the cronyism is how incompetent every single one of these bastards' friends are. How do you have this many friends that are all shit?
Well,
like you normally have one. You normally have one in a group of friends. We all know that one in a group of friends that is a useless fuck that you wouldn't trust with anything. That's all of their friends. That is every single one of their friends.
But do you think it's because, like, when you move in Tory circles, then everyone is a silver spoon prick? Like, they've never had to develop any real skill sets. They've had everything handed to them.
It has to be something. There has to be a reason why none of them can do up their own fucking shoelace.
Yeah.
There has to be some. Maybe they're used to wearing slip-ons because they don't want to have to do up their shoelaces because they're normally covered in cum after some fucking gangbang of a child.
Yeah, could be. But I don't know. I feel like.
I mean, there could be other reasons. I'm not saying that's for certain.
I feel like they are very well connected, and they've never really had to work for much. And so when they move in those circles and networks, they are then uniquely positioned to secure contracts. And then, whoever it is,
there has to be one competent one, though. They have to have a competent friend. Surely, between them all, they've got one competent friend.
I also think it's a psychological thing where they, as far as they're concerned, they are like born to rule. So they're just better. They're just like of a different class. And so then when somebody says, you fucked this up because you're incompetent, the first thought isn't, oh shit, I fucked this up. Like, they should have given it to somebody else. Their first thought is, well, yeah, I fucked it up, but thank goodness you didn't give it to one of the little people, because, they would have really fucked it up. Like, I really think that's where they sit kind of mentally. Like, they really think that there's tiers and classes that
I mean, yes, they certainly believe that. They certainly believe that they're better, but that's a public schooling telling them that they're better. And you can argue that you should feel sorry for these people who have not had a real upbringing, have had smoke blown up their fucking arse so long that they've probably got lung cancer from it, with any luck. Actually, no, that's a bit too mean. I don't wish them lung cancer. Dead, yes, but not from something like lung cancer, just from, I don't know, fucking spontaneous combustion or something.
Quick bust, bang.
Yeah, we shouldn't promote violence and hope that people die of horrible injuries. We shouldn't. We still do, quite rightly, but we shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I just can't. I spent so long now doing stuff on politics, and the idea of hope has completely gone. But that went like fucking 5-6 years ago. I see no hope. I see no plus. Anytime that there's a modicum of usefulness. I just look at it and go, well, this is the minimum we should be looking at, and we're praising it like they've just fucking cured every disease. Oh, you just told the truth.
Yeah.
That's all.
Do you think? I know what I think about this, but I'm interested to hear what you do. Do you think politics in the UK has tanked in its quality, in its credibility, more so in the last 5 years, or do you think it's just like it's always been this shameless and shady and corrupt, and it's just that now, as we grow into the sort of, how old are you now? 30? 32?
32.
So as you get into your 30s, I'm now 40. Is it just part of getting older that we're just more exposed to it? We're more interested in it now?
No, it's vastly worse. And I'm not claiming that it was good beforehand. But at least, like, the Tories as an example, like, they're all fucking terrible. I don't support a political party. I think they're all shit. I think anyone who wants to be in politics should automatically not be allowed in politics. I'm a firm believer, and I think this is a good way of improving politics, is you can only be a politician if you have at one time taken your own advice.
Right.
If you've done that, then come along. If you've never done that, then you shouldn't be allowed. But we're at a point now where there is more evil in politics than I think there's ever been. And we ignore evil. We always have done, because we think that evil is either Hitler or like fucking Ted Bundy. That's who we see as evil. Whereas the people who we currently have in power are evil. That is who they are. They're not doing it for good reasons. And if you don't like the people who, for Grenfell, those companies, they are evil. This is it. And we want to fucking hide away and say, oh no, they're just doing it for money. Listen, if you're putting people's lives at risk for money, you are evil.
Yeah.
That is it. The people in our government, from Priti Patel to Boris Johnson to Jacob Rees-Mogg, these people who are willing to lie to a nation to put them in danger, that is evil. That's not incompetence. That's not, well, they think they're doing good. No, they're evil.
Yeah.
And we need to accept.
Do you ever think that maybe using the language of like evil opens you up to criticism or scrutiny, that you're looking at it like a sort of biblical, angels and demons kind of?
No, because that's the fucking problem. You want to think that evil is only something to do with God and the devil. It's not.
I mean, come on, like when
evil isn't just superheroes. That's not the fucking case. The reason it opens you up to scrutiny is because people are so fucking stupid that their only concept of evil is either black or white. That's their issue, not fucking mine.
But the word, come on, man, like the word evil is like a biblical demonic.
No, it's not. It's a fucking word with a definition.
Yeah, but it's like I just think if you went on like, let's say you're a politician and you went on record and said Boris Johnson is evil, I think you'd be ridiculed. I think people would say like, oh, come on, like you're over egging it a bit. I would look at that. I agree that they
call each other honourable every fucking day, and that's not ridiculed. So you think that calling them evil would be? The only reason it would be, I make you right. I make you right. They would be ridiculed if they came out and said, well, I think that Priti Patel wanting to deport British people over to Jamaica for some fucking reason is evil. I think that our whole immigration system, I think that detaining children is evil, and I think the government are doing it because they're evil. You would be ridiculed. But that is because society, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, should be wiped out.
Right, but I just think if you're going to make a point about, and there's, I'm not disagreeing. I think that behavior and those policies and the structures and the history of how we treat people in this country, how we treat the most vulnerable, is gross. And it needs addressing. But from my mind, I feel like if you're going to, if you want to win people over, or if you want to,
fuck winning people over. This is it. I'm not a fucking politician.
this is your
I'm
problem, man. You like 1
not
minute.
trying to win people over. I'm trying to say, quite honestly, that there is evil in this country, and this is the thing. Everyone expects me to fucking go along and go, oh well, yeah. Listen, lady. Let me just stroke your hair. Let's give you some warm fucking milk, and let me tell you a little story about how bad people do bad things. Fuck off. They're evil. If you're unwilling to accept it, then you are part of the fucking problem. The world ain't gonna change because I fucking say it's evil, and it's not gonna change because I fucking wank everyone else and make them feel better. I'm not here to fucking make the difference. I've told you, it's all ending. It's all over. There's fuck all I can do. All I'm going to do is fucking scream and shout about it, and hopefully make some people laugh at some moment.
I just think it's
the time.
It's just funny, like, because it's like, to me, it seems so clearly circular that there's you in a gig in Brighton, say, getting angry at people because they're not taking your advice, and you're not seeing any change in society. And in a heartbeat, you're like, I'm not here to fucking convince anybody. Fuck off.
No, it's like, because they're not here. I'm a comedian, you know? I'm not going to change the fucking world. No comedian has ever changed the fucking thing. They don't.
Yeah.
I'm an angry clown at this point. Just screaming into a fucking void, and that's another reason why I don't like the fucking applause. Is because when everyone's fucking applauding and agreeing, oh, you agree with what I'm saying. Well, then why aren't you in a hump on a fucking screaming into the void like I am? Why are you not in a fucking ball in the corner, dying over all of this?
So earlier on, we talked a little bit about. Well, we touched very briefly on what success would look like to you, and this feels like a good juncture to get to that. So, you know, with this sort of mental image in my mind of you screaming at people in a gig, and you're recording it for Bandcamp, and you've got your podcast. We haven't mentioned that yet. Ashley Haden's Political Breakdown.
I stopped doing that. Yeah, it takes. I'm doing other stuff, and that I'll bring it back at some point, but it just takes so long to fucking research 20, 30 stories in a week, and then you have to ask guests on, and I don't want to fucking ask guests to come on to my shit. I don't. Do you want to talk? And then they don't do any research, and they're idiots. And
fair.
It's a lot of fucking work, and I'm doing other stuff.
Yeah. Okay, well, the podcast aside, you know, you're doing this gig and you're recording it for Bandcamp or Amazon, and you're sort of working towards something, but like, given how dark and ranty you obviously still are, and the mainstream of British comedy, and you know, the kinds of acts that get big over here, like, what does, you know, but comedy is your main thing, right? You've said that this is what you live for. So what are you, what does success look like for you? What are you kind of working towards?
6,000 people willing to pay, 3,000 people willing to pay £10 a year to see me.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all I want. Just to be able to, because I do some contract work, other things to get me some more money. Not do that and just do that. That's what I'm looking for. I don't look for a lot. I don't need fame. I write. Like at the moment, I'm writing a play. At the moment, and I'm writing a TV show. And I'm still writing stand-up, although not able to perform it. I'm doing other stuff, but just to not have to do the contract work as well, to get to a point where all I'm doing is focusing on the creative side. That's what I want.
Yeah.
That's it.
In some ways, so I'm in a slightly different situation to you, but not that similar. So I sort of looked at it like when I became a dad, we moved out to Guildford. Gigging became infinitely harder. I was so desperate to still be involved in comedy somehow, and I sent messages to people like who were doing Edinburgh shows and shit, and I was like, kind of stuck at home with my baby, and if you've got any audio of your gigs and stuff, just send them down. I'd love to listen to them. And I shut down my old Facebook account that was just like had everyone from the comedy world on it. I just opened a new one because honestly, like mental health wise, I probably wasn't in a great space because I just could not fucking handle seeing a Facebook feed full of people going like, my friend's show got like 23 people in this afternoon, and then someone else going like, oh, I've just produced this thing, and like it just sent me fucking balmy. Like, and I never put anything on Facebook like, cunty about like, fuck you, like, I'm stuck. Like, it was never like that. It was just, I just couldn't handle it. And so anyway, then Jacob is now 4 and he's at school, and we've got another one. But before the other one was like on the way, I was getting back into doing like Monday night gigs, and then every now and then like a little Wednesday, like trying new ideas, like little bits every now and then, with the view to like, if I just keep trying the little bits, then eventually at some point I will circle back and make some sort of return with a view to like doing, like, I mean, your goal is far greater than mine. Like, I think I would settle at this stage for just making enough money in my day job to fund a half decent Edinburgh show and like split the bill with someone. I feel like
I'm incredibly alone, so I've got nothing else.
Yeah, but it's like, are you? I mean, when I was single and gigging, I felt like I knew, like, I had my friends from back home. I had comedy friends. I had my London housemates. I was swimming in social life. So is it like, I mean, are you just kind of making a funny comment that I've got like kids and a partner and stuff, or
When you've got a family, you've got what is the quintessential idea of success. You've got someone that you love who loves you. You've got your children who you love unconditionally. You've got a stable job. I mean, that's the dream for a lot of people.
yeah? But do you, like, I mean, presumably you don't. Well, let's forget the pandemic for a second, because a lot of people feel very lonely in the pandemic with isolation, etc. But like being a like sort of single comic or whatever, you can't be so alone that propels you to want to then do like a 6,000 a year gig, or is it like, I'm just trying to get to grips with like what it is that's sort of propelling you to do that, to like, for that to be the end goal.
It's the only thing I want.
Yeah.
It's comedy, the creative stuff, like the play. I'm incredibly excited about. Apart from the stand-up, it's the thing I've been most excited about in 10 years. And so finding those things I want to do, like I was very lucky that at the age of 23, I found stand-up and realized that I've found what I want to do with my life. That is not something that a lot of people are able to say. We're expected to choose at 16, 18 to make these grand choices about what you want to do for your entire life. And people can go throughout their entire life never truly knowing what they've wanted. I was very lucky that at such a young age, I did find what I wanted to do. I found my passion. I found the thing that gave me the most joy. The thing that, frankly, in terms of even in terms of mental health, performing comedy has helped me immensely. Being able to get out my anger has greatly benefited my growth as a fucking person.
Yeah.
I'm vastly better now than I've arguably ever been.
Yeah.
I mean, this year not including, because this is going to a mental health kick in the fucking
Right.
nuts.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I need stand up. I need to perform. I need to have that outlet.
I felt like when I got into stand up, I got into it a bit later. I think I did my first gig when I was about 29 ish.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like there was a lot of stopping and starting, but
Yeah.
uh, but by the time I did my proper show, and then became a dad, even though I wasn't doing it anymore, I remember saying this to my mum. I was like, I'm like, even if I don't get back to doing it like properly, I'll always be
Yeah.
grateful that I found it at a time when a lot of my friends were settling down and moving out of London, and it was a thing. Like it was, I'd always been into like performance and writing and stuff. And but it was the first thing that I'd done and tried where I was certain that you couldn't just fake it. Um, and
Yeah.
B, it was something that I could see like trackable progress in terms of how good I was getting at it, or you know how
Mm.
shit it was that night or whatever. Like writing a 5 minute thing, memorizing it, trying it one week, half of it fails. You come back next week, you try another 5 minutes, then you bank the 2 bits to get, you know. And over the space of 6 months, it becomes like a really nice 7 minute joke or whatever. And it gave me. This is going to sound really twatty, but it gave me a self confidence in learning and learning how to learn, that it was totally absent in my life before. Like I'd tried
Mm.
doing other stuff, music, rap, uh, and I got some joy out of it and the creativity out of it, but it wasn't. I don't think I'd ever had any feedback in terms of like, you're fucking great at this and you should carry on doing it. Like with comedy, it was like I
Yeah.
could see it coming together and people shaking my hand after gigs and stuff. And um, so for me, even yeah, like if I never get back to it properly, I will always be grateful, same as you are, that you found it when you were 23. I'll be like, I don't care what age I was when I found it. I'm just glad that I found it.
Yeah. I was. It was a game changer, an absolute game changer. Finding stand up, and it's what I want to continue to do. As I say, I mean, the writing side, I despise writing. I
Mm,
hate it. I it like writing stand up is one thing. That's
mm,
fine, I think. But actually writing scripts is one of the most boring things I've ever done in my
mm.
life. Uh, and now I'm writing two separate things, and I every fucking day you do the same shit, and it bores me to
Really?
tears. Oh,
It's interesting because I enjoy writing. I true like always felt like that's when the best bits come out. Like I'll write 2 pages of 10 font in Microsoft Word, and obviously 95% of it is fucking dog shit. But there'll be one line in there or like two line, and if I know that if I just keep slogging at it, then I'll be like, so glad I did this. Um, but for you, it's
I just
different, is it? Or
yeah, I hate like a play. I've done like 55 pages of the
yeah,
play so far, and that's only been a couple of weeks. I actually started writing it because it took me an age to get the story right. Um, and now I'm writing it, and I try to do like minimum 5 pages a day, and God, I hate it. I when I'm actually doing it, like when I get into it, it's
yeah.
fine, and then when I finish, there's a sense of accomplishment. But actually starting it and getting into it, and
Yeah.
Christ, what a boring fucking existence.
Is it a romantic comedy?
No, amazingly, uh, it's a story about uh, death, and it's based in Death's Waiting
It's
Room,
a bit
where
off brand,
you
isn't
well,
it?
it's comes- it's it's from an idea that you get to ask death one question, and the play is about how you would get to deciding what that question would be. And so 3 characters and everything else. I'm not even writing it as a comedy.
Just
frankly.
about to say that. Like, is it a comedy or is it just a dark
no?
exploratory piece?
It's the idea is something that I've been thinking about for a while, and just the idea of, because you have people who, if you ask, well, what would that one question, they answer straight away. And I'd ask why this happened, and I want to look into why people would think straight away and actually take away the reasoning of these questions that people want to ask, and dig into why someone would ask a selfish question, why someone would ask a question that, once you're dead, has no meaning. So, like, are my family going to be well? That's a very reasonable question. But would you want to know that answer? Because there's nothing you can do. So, like yourself, you've got children, saying 30 years, you die, your children are all grown up. You want to ask, okay, then, will my children find happiness? Do you really want to know that? Because if the answer is no, what the fuck? You've got a potential eternity. But one thing I'm not doing is putting any answers to the questions or where this is set. So I'm not saying there's an afterlife. I'm not saying there's a God. There's nothing. It could just be this question. It could just be the final fucking remnants of someone's mind. There's no, don't want to be saying this is it. This is what happens. I don't want to give any answers.
So for you, that the focus is more around the like questioning the format of that question and how people would arrive at what they choose to ask,
and the regrets that could be faced by those who die. Because if you die, you only leave memories and pain, really, and it doesn't affect you. There's a great play called it's a World War One play called Millions of the Mouthless Dead, and one of the lines in it, say not soft words other men have said, for they are dead and they need not know, which I think is it. You know, the dead doesn't everything you say and all the tears and everything, it doesn't affect the dead. And so I think it's interesting to look at the dead and see how they could potentially feel that their life has gone, and look at the regret that could be left behind while working to try to figure out this question to ask.
Yeah, it sounds like deep, dark stuff. And I wish you well with it.
Oh, very much. I need to finish the fucking thing and then edit it. Oh, I hate editing. Editing's worse than writing. Editing's the worst.
Can't you get someone else to edit it for you?
The main issue with that is I really don't like people telling me where I've gone wrong. I don't like authority, and that feels a lot like authority. Like someone saying, "Oh, it's even like adverts. Oh, do that. Fuck you. Don't tell me what to do. I'm not touching your stuff again. Fuck off, mate." I've got a real problem with being told.
I can just see it now. Like, they'll be like, "What about if we just took on page 19? We just took this line out." You'd be like, "Fuck off! You're evil."
No, they're not evil. Don't be twisting my use of evil. I use evil correctly. You're the one who's putting fucking biblical terms on it, not me.
Listen, man, Ashley, Haden, thank you very much for joining us. I got to go. I've still got work to do today. So, yeah, we'll catch up with you soon. If anybody is watching this and wondering where to catch Ashley's work, then obviously get onto Bandcamp, check out his shows, and we'll hopefully...
The third and fourth one, I
Again?
would say. The third and fourth one. The first two are fine, but like the fourth one's very good. The fourth
one is Fuck You and Fuck Your Beliefs.
And the third one's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, go check him out, and hopefully we'll all see each other at an Edinburgh or Brighton Fringe Zone show next year.
Fantastic.
All right. Take care, mate.
Pleasure.
Bye.
See you. Bye.